Look what's creeping in. Never ending. But it's a good thing. Well, whoever's out there right now, I'm just hanging out in East Los Angeles in my recording studio, doing some ribbon mic repairs. I have a Coles 4038. I've already removed the two screws. It is not in good shape. So I'm going to be working on this Coles. But earlier today, I was finishing up this Spire 160 and I tested it and it rocks. So before I move on to the Coles, I wanted to seal this one up. So this is I don't have it listed in the live feed, but I tested it before I really put everything back together to make sure everything was good, and it killed it. It was awesome. This is one that I had done and I wasn't too happy with it after I had finished it, because every mic I re-ribbon, I have to test it. And these aren't just like going back to just random people that I don't know. These are going back to producers, artists, some of them around the world. And so this is the Coles 4038, and it's making everything stick to it. So I'm going to finish up this one right here. I'm going to move the Coles out of the way. Sorry, Mr. Coles, you're going to move to the back of this picture. You will be up next. And I've got to finish doing this mic. Just because the ribbon, I don't want anything to happen to it. It sounds really good. I do have to protect it. So I'm working on a Coles 4038. But I'm going to be finishing up a vintage Buyer 160. And the way we do this one is we actually seal it up with rubber cement. There's a few glues. I will have to seal the cap of the mic off with some crazy glue. But this one, just going to kind of put a little bit on the edge. I'll clean it up a little bit if there's a little bit too much. I may have gotten a little aggressive with that. And I want this glue to kind of not only keep the little top lid on it good, I want it to also protect the ribbon from maybe some sound coming in from the side. Also, this already had like, it's almost like it was really hard to take off. Whatever glue that was on this before dries up and turns to dust, and it kind of ruins the mic. But whatever you see on the top of this mic, what looks kind of nasty, I cleaned that off, if you can believe it. So I'm just going to put this on a little bit. It's just the Manny way of doing it. I put a little bit extra towards the edge, because when I push down the little, this top part, which you can still see the glue all eroded in the back, but I've cleaned it. That's actually cleaned. It kind of gives it an extra sealing around the edges, because I don't want any kind of side wind to come through there and affect the microphone, which, you know, sometimes people angle them sideways in cabinets. I mean, I'm not going to be following this mic around in its history of what it's doing, so I'm just trying to preempt any issues that this mic would have. So I'm just using regular Elmer's rubber cement. If you missed what this mic was even about, I went live earlier, which I did the whole breakdown minus what I'm showing you now. I had to leave. I already had spent, I think, almost 2 hours working on this. And the night before, I had worked on this because, like everything I do, it has to be scrutinized and tested. And I have a professional studio with ATC speakers and Neves and APIs. So these go back to cats that are using them. And there's no like, well, when it left the studio, it sounded good. There's no fucking around. Some guy's gonna put, this is actually coming from a studio. I think both mics were blown with the drummer from Jack White's band. And the engineer, producer, whoever it was, had put these mics, I believe, maybe below or around the snare, and they were both wasted. The when I say both mics, I didn't do it on this live on my Instagram. If you guys follow me, this is a vintage buyer 260. So I re-ribboned this one live on my Instagram, and then part of the team was this 160. So I did this one. This one's a rarity because if you watch that other episode, these have two ribbons in it, and they're a little bit of a bitch, honestly, to work on. But I love them, and because I had tested it, and it didn't really sound like the way I wanted to, I took it apart. And when these mics don't really sound good, unless there's something really obvious, like this had slipped, or I can see something in the ribbon, I can change the top ribbon, it's just best to just, have a drink of Pellegrino and then do it again. Hold on a second, I'm getting a drink here. Action Jackson. Looks like it's just me and you here. Get ready to have a real slow burn because we're going to be doing this Coles. But I've got to finish up this vintage Buyer 160. I'm not even I didn't plan on doing this in part of this live one, but when I left it earlier, I want to seal this up permanently before I move on. So let me move this camera over a little bit. Now, some of the buyers that I've gotten, this is just regular masking tape. Some of the newer buyers, these used to be covered in like a medical cloth tape. And do I like Pokemon? My son was a Pokemon freak. But myself personally, I'm almost 60. I think I may have missed that thing of people loving the Pokemon. But a friend of mine is into vintage things, and some Pokemon cards can make you rich. So I'm not naive to the popularity to them. I do think that like everything, if you really love something, why not get into it? Some people spend their life trying to find all the Pokemon cards to complete their collection. Sometimes the collection is for money. Sometimes it's just a goal. And they like to play Pokemon with their friends, and they like to win. And I'm assuming the rarer the cards that have the most powers, they can win. So that's what I'm talking about. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, hold it tight. Sorry. Okay, so if you're just joining me, this isn't a Coles. This is a Buyer 160, a double ribbon microphone from these. It's been around since the 60s. These were actually used by Jimi Hendrix, made famous by Jimi Hendrix, John Bonham, Led Zeppelin, when the levee breaks. This is the two mics that were made famous. He had two of these up above some stairs. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to seal the top part of this before I move on to the this is good down the middle. I know this is totally snooze fest here, but I gotta do it. I gotta seal this mic off before I put it away, or God forbid I should drop it or something happens to it. So we're gonna start with the sides. I'm just gonna put this on the edge. Move around. I think you guys saw me doing the tape. It's a little bit of still some cement that came out of the side, so I'm just gonna, that's okay. I don't mind that extra little ounce of goop. This is gonna keep some of the air or wind or sound pressure. If you have this like on a Marshall cabinet, you don't want any sound creeping around the transducer. And these are just notoriously known for putting up on loud sound sources. It's not really a mic that you technically baby like a Coles. I think people use these pretty fearless. A friend of mine had these set up permanently in the studio. He had one on the snare, one on the bottom snare, one on the rack tom, and one on the floor. And he had no issues about worrying about them blowing. I don't know what that is. It's some kind of like leap of faith. And if you have that leap of faith, you're awesome. Those are the brackets. But there is a little area that these, right in here that's opened up. So on this one, you can maybe see it. You can barely see the, well, not in that one, but you can barely see the top of the ribbon. Even though it looks really kind of dusty and dirty, that's just the screen. Let's put one on this side. Like I said, this is just normal masking tape, but when I got some of the newer buyers, they had used this. And I was buying this hard, it was hard to find. I couldn't find this like certain, if I go to CVS to buy, you know, Band-Aids and medical tape, it was really hard. One time I lucked out. The first time I ever went looking for it, it was killer tape. And I used it all the time, and then when it ran out, I assumed I would go back to CVS and get it. And when I went back there, you know, Jimmy D, this is, well, I have two things. This is a Coles ribbon mic that initially is what I went live about. I'm going to change the ribbon in that, which is nasty already. It's gone, wasted. This is the 60s Buyer 160, or 70s maybe it's 80s. It's vintage, older, and this was used by Jimi Hendrix. Not this actual mic, but the microphone number and the brand was used by Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page. It's made famous John Bonham sound on the levee breaks were two of these ribbon mics on the stairwell or something above the drums, and they're very, I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of people that talk shit about them. There's always the guys who are like, oh, you know, 160s don't really like them. I can't tell you about why they would not like them, but for me personally, I love them. Give me 1 second. The screen is a little bit dented, and if I'm putting this back, I'm just gonna see if I could kind of tweak out these little tweaks in it. Ooh. I'm good, thank you for asking. I actually had been up really late last night working on this ribbon mic, and then, I don't know, after I got it done, I was just kind of questioning, like, did I knock it out of the ballpark? And because this is going back to a producer, I just want to make sure that it sounded good. So in the morning I came back, or actually in the afternoon I came back and tested it, and it was not good. It just didn't sound, I wanted, there's a certain amount of like low end. I'm not really, this was already bent pretty badly. I'm just kind of slightly, this is a jewelry hammer. It's rubber. You can kind of just slightly, I'm gonna just slightly bang this back into some kind of shape. So yeah, these are really, really incredible microphones. One of my favorites. So yeah, people talk shit about them. I really like them. So now that I've done this, Usually buyers, when you have them, they have a little red dot right there. You have to make sure when you put this lid back, that red dot is actually telling you where the ribbon is. So it'll come back like this, and whoever is putting this mic will know that's where it is. I've never really worried about that. I just put them up there. But it is important that if I'm going to take this apart and put it together and it sounds really good, I have to put it back symbolically somewhat of the way it was. So now this is the last thing, and then we'll get on to the Coles. Weirdly, now it's crazy glue time. But I'm going to double check this. Now I'm going to seal this up. I just want to make sure that this is pretty straight. Yeah, it's good. And like I said, this is just regular masking tape. But once the lid goes on there, there's really not a lot of room to wiggle. I mean, if this was left open up like that, I'd probably have to use some other kind of tape. But since this is going to be covered, and I already have rubber cement kind of sealing up the sides, and the most important part is right here, and that's covered, and I don't think that's going to come up. It's pretty, feels pretty good. Let's make this straight. So we're going to seal this up, and then once I seal it up, sometime tomorrow probably it'll be ready to, I was going to say put in the mail, but this is from a local producer. This was used on the drummer from the White Stripes. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. The drummer from Jack White's band. And apparently through that session, these had blown. And we don't really know how. It could have been maybe phantom power. He suspected maybe they were used under the snare. And I don't, and you know, people don't realize that, like, I don't know if you know what a snare looks like, but on the bottom of the snare, there are these metal, like, coils that go across the bottom, which make the sound. When drummers hit them so hard, those coils break. And that tells you how strong. So you have metal literally breaking and snapping away from the sound pressure. Can you imagine putting a ribbon, which I'll show you a ribbon. It's like brutal, you know, like, and he said maybe the mic was even pointed right under the middle of the snare, which is someone hits it. You can imagine if that can break metal or steel, what it would do to this little grill and that little tiny ribbon inside. So yeah, it was blown. No regrets on their end. You know, sometimes you just do things because you know. So I'm gonna get this on. This is always a little bit sketchy, but it's just a rubber hammer. Take it easy. I will test this again, but that isn't enough to really mess this up. I gotta get this side. Hold on. You see me banging away. I'm just hitting. I'm kind of like hitting it, but also pulling it away from the mic. So I'm not making a full hit, so that'll do it. And I'll check it. So yeah, this is a 160 now that I finished. This is from, if you want to see it, it was, I did this video last night, and then I came back today because I wasn't really happy with, when you do ribbon mics, it's not an exact science. You just have to have a lot of confidence in what you do. And I thought I did a pretty good job, but it was really late, and I had already done the 260, and I think there's a certain point where you have to be really sharp, and maybe when I installed the ribbon, it was slightly off. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put this into a safe place so it can dry. Hold on now. All right. So now we're on to the main attraction, a Coles 4038. Holy smokes. Holy cows. Can't believe I'm doing another one. Oh my God. All right. I know, under the snare is just tragic. So this one, if you want to know exactly what I did, this one has 2 screws that are on the badge, and they sit right here. These 2 screws actually go into this grill, into the body. So that's actually where it locks it in. But the true secret of this one is that you have to lock it in through that little notch there. So when this goes in, you kind of lock it into, if you can see it, that hole. And then those two screws seal it up into this. So there's not three screws, but just two. Definitely, you have to handle these mics very carefully because there's a lot of things that can go wrong in this mic. A lot of things went wrong in that mic right there. But this is like a silk screen. So when you look at it, it looks like you're just kind of looking into the mic. But some of the way this mic is made for this silk screen is definitely keeping the wind out. Then this little screen right here is not really a protector of wind because there's massive holes. I mean, wind just goes right through that. But it does protect the ribbon because when the ribbon bounces this way and that way going up and down inside the mic, this keeps it in that area. And why would it need to do that? Because it's a really thin ribbon. And if you do something very like a loud sound source, you're liable going to ruin these ribbons. The microphone that I just did, and the ribbon is the that little foil that you see there. I'll show you. Where's my little graveyard? Here it is. So this is my Coles and my Buyer 160 graveyard of used ribbons. So I can show you as an example. Oh, there's some good ones here. Let's see here. So this is that mic you just saw me replace. That is a ribbon inside it. That makes the sound. It vibrates and that turns into electricity, which turns into a positive and negative signal, which goes to a transformer, and it gives you sound. Incredibly weird that does do that. Oh, come on now. So I'm going to show you an example of a ruined Coles. Now you can still see in this one there's some lines. That one is completely wasted. So most Coles that I get, they're flattened out. And the reason they're flattened out is that is a reflection of that. So as the ribbon is hitting it, when it used to look like, let me see. It has some corrugation in it. Hold on. I always say hold on, like, if you want to go, I mean, please. I'm okay. This is all strictly, I got to do this. So no matter what, whether you're watching or not, I've got to fix this mic. Son of a bitch. Come on, spread out. Give me some room. We're trying to get, okay, so that is a Coles that's it's wasted, but at least you can see some of the lines. I suppose a healthy one would be lines, that's how fast it is, lines all the way down. And if you look at this one, completely flattened out, it looks like the screen. So to give you an idea, so these ribbons are small. So that's a Coles, and that's a ribbon in a Buyer. Great example of a 6mm ribbon to probably like a 1.75 was the thick width of this one. So this foil, now here's the problem with Coles. All these other ribbons are either 1.8 to 2.5. That's 1.8 to 2.5 are the ribbons of the world, even up to 8mm or 8 microns, which would be some of the Russian mics have super thick ribbons. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sound good. But these ribbons are 0.6. And that's what puts fear in the heart of guys that work on these, because I'm going to drop it. Will it drop? It is close to being like just air. And how is that supposed to stay in that mic and not get destroyed with the snare drum or guitar? But if it's... And so even as guys that replace the ribbons in these, that's where the nightmare begins, because all this graveyard of these ribbons are mics that are repaired. And through the repairs of working on them, even talking makes those get all freaky. Even talking about working on, there was a time when I first started doing ribbons, which weirdly enough, I started with 160s, not knowing those are some of the hardest ribbons to do. So I'm replacing ribbons in 160s. If you saw the video yesterday, it's kind of like getting into a Rolex, the little small parts. It's really precision engineering, really a beautiful microphone. And being a little bit naive, I got into doing Coles, and then I was working with, 1.8, 2.5 ribbon. And I ordered some 0.6 ribbon for these. And I'm just, once again, I'm just naive. I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. I'm going to do some Coles. And I ordered the ribbon. When I opened up the ribbon and I went to lay it onto this table, or one that was just like this, to cut it up and kind of make it usable, as I laid it down, half of it just disintegrated into dust. And I was like, oh my fucking God, what the, or pardon my F-bombs, but I was really like, oh fuck. That was like $100 of ribbon I had bought, naively thinking I could handle it the way I use. Like for this, like for instance, this is some thicker ribbon that, I can handle. It's not doing anything. If I had 0.6 and I was to do this, it would probably be ruined. So I have a little container over here, and this has my 0.6 ribbon. I keep this away. I try not to even look at it because it just may mess up of me looking at it. Let's see here. I think there's one. Yeah, I got one in there. So 0.6. And I don't even want to take it out. Oh, shoot. I just got to move this. Hold on. All right. I know I shouldn't have opened this because I don't want to even take a chance of ruining that. I know you can't probably see it from where you are. Let me see if I can show it to you. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So this isn't the bigger one, but this is part of another one. Even me being super careful, that is ruined, and that is a tear that is ruined. So even though it was initially from like $100 order, even me trying to put it somewhere where I can safely put it in a container, it got ruined. So when I first started working on these, I just said, fuck that, I'm not going to work on Coles. It's too, I don't even know how to handle the foil. So after that, I just told people I'm not going to work on your Coles. And, I could, and people have had me put 1.8 and 2.5 in them. That changes the sound, but it pretty much makes them then a little bit more immortal. But I realized my appreciation for the sound of a Coles and why those thinner ribbons make it sound good. And also at that point, I'd already gone about 2 years of repairing ribbons. And I started my own ribbon mic company because I'm designing my own mic. And crazy enough, it's going into production maybe in a month or so, but I have to first make some prototypes to test them. I'm literally getting my prototypes probably in about 2 weeks. I'll have my first prototype of my own ribbon mic, which is nothing like any of these. And I will say this, my own ribbon mic that I'm designing, I can pretty much, unless something happens between now and the time that I release it, I believe I'll have the first ribbon mic on earth that will be made this way, whatever that way is. I can't tell you because that's the whole thing about it. But when I decided to make my ribbon mic company, if you look in this YouTube and you go back maybe 2 years or 3 years, you'll see my prototype being made. And I made it myself. From the ground up, the whole mic. It sounded so fucking good. And that was that point where I was like, man, I'm going to make my own mic because this is really good. And in my own band, I use 160s and BK5s at a really low volume. So when I tested the ribbon, it was at a low volume. But because I made the casing of the ribbon mic out of just random airplane parts, and I went to Home Depot and bought these metal brackets that were made for construction, and I housed the transducer. And it looks like a dog's head. And it was so sick. But because at the time I didn't really know about, so even sound of this, when the sound hits this microphone, it is going here, it is going through there, and even this thing is like angled down. So if you can see, that angle reflects this. So much thought is put into how the sound hits it, and that's the you know the what would be the word for that? Like the optimum part of the mic, the G spot. Let's just get it out, and then it goes into there. So all this is about air hitting it, air moving around it. These circles have a lot to do with how much low end comes into the mic. So there's a lot of thought into that. And when I first made my ribbon mic, I was a little naive to all that too. I was just like, oh, fuck it. I'll just put ribbon in it. I'll make a dog's head and it's going to sound killer. And it did. But when I put it up on a Marshall and I cranked it, I realized right there, there's going to have to be a lot more things I'm going to have to learn about ribbons. So then at that point, I had some partners and I said, listen, we're going to stop. We're not going to make this microphone until for a few years I learn everything I can about ribbon mics. So I dived into, and at this point I've done some of the, if you, even on this YouTube channel, you'll see one of the rarest Telefunken ribbon mics I've done. I've done BK5s, and this is live. I film it. I've done 160s, and no one ever does that. I mean, I don't think there's anybody you can watch. You can watch a guy make a ribbon mic, but I don't think you really see a guy live on the spot. Even me doing this Coles, I'm like the only dude that ever would do this because it's just so difficult. I do have a small amount of failure that could happen from this. So, but I'm willing to do it. So anyway, so now, as I'm talking the talk and walking the walk and telling people that I'm going to be making my own mic, I came back to the Coles. And I remember after the disaster of handling the ribbon, and for like a year or so, I said, fuck that, I'm not going to touch Coles. I just said, you know what? Get over your fear. If you're going to make a ribbon mic company, and someday you may want to install a light ribbon, something like a Coles, you're going to have to learn how to install it and make sure it doesn't rip. So I dived back into these, and I was just kind of shocked because the time I was away from not working on Coles, educating myself on working with all these different types of ribbon, when it came back to installing the Coles, as I've learned how to handle the foil a lot better. And then when I'm talking about the foil, it is, I have different ones cut, but that's some foil in there that I'll cut. Handling it so you can use it is, now I appreciate it. So then when I got the Coles, and even though I got another order and I shredded a corner of it, I said, relax. If people in England and people in the U.S. certified Coles dealers for repairs, which AEA is one of them, I'm sure they farm it out to some cat up north or someone that's learned how to do those. That's a real dude. That guy pisses and takes his shit and eats and has a dog. He's a real guy. He's not some superhuman. I believed I could work on these, and I did. So now it comes to this. Now I got him. I will be saying some F-bombs. I will be saying son of a bitch, and hopefully I can get the ribbon in there without it ripping. But it's all become something I love to do. So that's kind of the story. And most people do not repair these, and a lot of times they repair these with not 0.6 thickness or microns foil. They'll tell you they are, but they're probably putting in 1.8. Or I don't know what, if you can get different thicknesses, but maybe they're not 0.6. Maybe they're like, 1.0, or, well, 1.8 is the next one up that people use. So you can get away with that. That's still pretty thin. But using 0.6, which I'm going to use in there, which is the same thickness that you saw of that one flying down, and enough of this. I'm getting dizzy. Let's get some Pellegrino, and we're going to do this. I know it's gross to drink. It's even harder to chew gum and walk. It's even harder to talk shit and repair a mic at the same time and repair one of the hardest ribbons in the world. So forgive me. All right. I have to take a deep breath. We're really going to do this, huh? We really decided it was a good idea to run down to your studio and live on YouTube to all 4 of you. Okay, let's do it. All right, so the first thing, as I just removed the lid, we're going to put the lid back on it, because even though we're going to work on this side, you cannot remove these screws. Even though it looks obvious, like, why would you? I mean, you should be able to have access to that, but this mic doesn't work that way. Which is, once again, I would say it's overbuilt, but they've been making them this way since the 60s, maybe the 50s. And I'll just leave it up to the people at the BBC and Coles that these are just, I'm just going to have to accept it. So these are 4 screws that are holding this arm on the back of this. Super important. Once I remove these screws and this arm comes off it, these brackets or these clamps or whatever they are accepting this, they're glued onto the back of this mic. So if you don't know what you're doing and you're just like me, the first time you're going to take one apart, if you unscrew these and you don't do it evenly, when you go to put the mic on, these could fall off because they're just glued on. Now I have gotten them, and they like the buyers, the glue gets old and dried up, and then so by the time you open up the mic, even if it's never been repaired, these are just going to fall off. And God knows how they stayed on. They're almost like hanging out for dear life. So I'm going to unscrew these little, and I'm also going to make sure that I put these screws kind of on their own world. They look just like the 2 screws on the backside, and they probably would work. But these ones are painted black on the end, so they're easy to spot. I shouldn't confuse them. But if you're doing this for the first time, and here's the thing. If you decided to work on ribbons, this is the worst microphone to start on. There are 1,000 different Chinese mics that have big ribbons that are easy. There's tons of kit mics you can buy, ribbon mics, to really get into it. And if you watch the tutorials on how to build a ribbon mic, and the guy gets like chewing gum and he makes the ribbon, those are pretty sick. I love those. So this is just a little plastic cap which holds down this. Now what you need to pay attention to, not now, but when this goes back, I'll show you in a second. Let me get this other one off. And I'm not even being snobby about those videos of how to make a ribbon, because I'm fucking a ribbon repairing guy. Ooh, and I dropped my shit. My experience of getting into ribbon mics, and I always tell the story, is I'm grateful. There's a guy in Sweden. His name is Ulf, U-L-F. He has a channel, which you should add the channel because he always has wicked cool content. And and years ago, before I was even doing ribbon mics, he had a content. He was one of the first guys to show you how he makes a ribbon mic on YouTube. And I don't know why, I just happened to come across it. And Ulf blew my mind. And I remember this was like before the pandemic, or right when the pandemic started. Everybody was fucking trapped at home. And I started watching it. And I told my wife, I go, I'm gonna build a ribbon. She didn't even know what I was talking about. So I went online, I bought some ribbon, and I didn't even have a mic. I just started playing with the foil, and because I wanted to make a Buyer 160, I started researching what a Buyer 160 ribbon looked like. So for almost 6 months, I corrugated by hand, and the Buyer ribbons move like pistons up and down. They don't move back and forth like normal ribbons. So without knowing it, I was literally working on a microphone that only these old ladies in Germany make. So I was working on it, I got it, and then I went out and I bought a fucked up Buyer online at Craigslist, and totally thrilled that my ribbons went in, and because the mic was already blown and I put my ribbons in, it sounded incredible. So that was my first kind of thing, but that comes down to Ulf. And crazy enough, Ulf is now one of my dear friends. When he came out to NAMM, I had written him and said, dude, I just want to let you know your video changed my life. And he laughs at me now when he sees me doing all this stuff. He's like, man, you're like, when I tell him in my enthusiasm of my mic and the design, he's like, dude, you're talking Chinese to me right now. I don't even know what you're talking about. But he's a super smart guy. He's just being sweet. He actually has a robot kit that you can control that moves the mic closer and farther away from your cab. You gotta check. It's like a few $100s. It's called a DIY robot arm or DIY robot mic stand. Whatever the case is, I have one right over there, and it's super sick. And him and his father made that. So as I'm taking this apart, so I have the bottom. I put the top is back on it. I've not done anything. I've released these 4 screws that held these little things that lock in it. But what you need to be aware of, there's a little flat edge right here. I don't know if I can really turn this around. See, yeah, see that flat edge? That flat edge needs to be, when you put it back, there. And the same with this one. And that's the only way when you lay it back in. It's not doing it now. But yeah, I gotta align it so if I am putting it in an angle, these wires gotta tuck it in here. Hold on a second. Hold it now. Yeah, there. Okay, so this fits good because I've aligned those flat part of those plastic brackets so they lay flat. If you don't do that and you go to put these brackets back on, there's a good chance you're gonna rip that off the back of the transducer and you're gonna break it. So even when I tighten these after I've done it, and I'm trying to be careful, you just have to tighten these little by little and make sure that it eventually gets flush. And that's flush, that feels good. So if I was to screw this in right now, that would be right. But you have to pay attention to that when you put it back. So all these little things have to be done, because if you don't, you're gonna break the mic. And even though this is built like a tank and it weighs like 3 pounds, 5 pounds, I don't know, it's a massive heavy magnet in there. These little parts that are plastic and these little parts that are glued on it are just kind of neurotic in a way. Like, why didn't they just bolt those into the magnets? I have no idea. That little screw, definitely don't do that one. That is a ground cable. I did that one time and I was just like trying all day to get it in there, and anyways, it's a mess. You never have to undo this screw. Okay, so now I need access to the back. So now that I've done that, this should come off. And there's plenty of slack in these wires, so you do have wiggle room to work, which is, I'm really grateful they didn't make it so tight. And these are the wires that are going to the transformer. So this is kind of just like freely just hanging around right here. And these wires come up through the bottom and they go through here. Sorry. And these wires are coming down here and they're soldered on here. And one is the ground, and one is positive. So one's positive, one's ground. These go to the XLR over here. This one, I'm using my plastic tweezers because the magnets will be ripping my hand out. This is positive and this is negative. And so when I flip the mic over and I have to take out those 4 bolts to get access to the ribbon, the nightmare is if you don't know, and looking at the mic, it looks like, oh, I'll return these 4 screws. These ones, for whatever reason, they've reinforced. These last 2 have bolts on the other side. You'll break them. This is really soft metal. I don't know if it's copper, aluminum. It is super soft. The screws are super soft. If this mic was to fall, there's a good chance these are what's going to break. So I think you can. I've never had. Look at, if someone brings me a destroyed Coles, there are plenty of other people around the world that can restore these. I'm definitely not interested. But my deal is to have a producer call me and say, Manny, my Coles are blown. He can drop them off on a Monday, and probably like Wednesday or Friday he can pick it up. Even though a week could be considered a long time, in the world of ribbons, if I take this mic to AEA, and maybe they've changed, but it used to be about 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe even now 2 months. It would take them to process it, ship it off to wherever they send them to, or if they do them in-house for whatever reason, their priority is to make their own microphones. But I don't know what the priority is on, even though they're a licensed repair for these, I don't actually know who works on these. So there's a whole thing of the convenience. And because I care and I really have ATCs in a studio and I produce records. I've worked with sick bands and sick artists. Every time I approach one of these, it's kind of like the real deal. Like I know what it's supposed to do, and luckily enough, I've had a lot of experience. I recorded 3 or 4 records at Steve Albini's at Electrical Audio. Steve showed me how to record. When you go over there, he has some of the most incredible vintage Coles. I mean, it's pretty darn cool on how much how many of these has. Okay, so what I need to do now that I'm going to work on it, I'm going to make sure that my ribbon that I installed doesn't get snagged on this screen. I have to somewhat, these are ground wires like a pickup. So the ground is coming on the bottom right here and encompassing the ribbon. On the other side, you'll see the 2 wires on the other side too. So it's a total, and this, you can't see it, but underneath here, this is being grounded to this grill. But the grill is being kept from touching the magnet. So there's all these different things that if you can touch me, you can't touch me, ground is touching me, positive touching me. The whole mic is made like that, which is ingenious. This is like some elder technology here. So I'm going to remove this, and this is just a regular screen. Now what's important is there's a little piece of paper there, and there's a little piece of paper here. And there's no paper on the other side. That is because when you install this back in it, they do not want this wire or this screen to touch the ground, and they don't want it to travel through and then touch this one. So that's why there's the buffer of that little paper there. So when I put these back in, you have to really, you know, be careful. Everywhere there's like, oh, you just got to watch what you're doing, watch what you're doing, watch what you're doing. Don't do that, don't do that, take your time. These are the ones I told you that are just glued onto the top. They look like they're like welded heavy duty. They're not. There's 2 little drops of whatever adhesive that they use. Pretty incredible mic. Like I said, that's where the wires run to the transformer in there. Really difficult mics to mount on a shock mount. They're really incredibly hard to find the mounts for these. So, where is it at? Do I have it here? Hold on a second. So on the bottom of the mic, sorry I had to leave here for a second. On the bottom of the mic, they have these. These are really expensive. Even if you buy a Coles, these are like $100 or more. So that is what goes inside there. And then on the other side, this is where you mount these now. So normal, you know, microphone stand goes in there. And then that's the XLR that dangles. I think this, you know, people will go, why didn't they just put an XLR here? I think they put these separate because they don't want the mic to really move around and be shock mic. So when you plug it in here, it always jolts the mic. When it's just on the cable, you can plug the cable and it's not really doing anything to shake the mic up. These are really sensitive. So that's the, what you're not seeing, but definitely all Coles have that goes in there, which is totally freaky, you know, 3-prong plug. And that goes to a normal XLR. So I can put this back so I don't lose it. Even though I'm losing my mind because I can't believe I'm doing this live, and I'm going to, all 6 of you who are watching this, if you're home tonight, like, today's a Friday night. I mean, this is my life. My wife works usually every weekend. I don't drink. We don't do drugs. I never do. I'm not saying like I'm not like that. The last time I had tequila and got wasted was in like 2008 in Honolulu, Hawaii. But I like getting up in the morning, man. I think as I've gotten older, like I said, I'm 59, but I think as I've gotten older, I really love getting up and getting a good cup of coffee and feeling like, okay, what am I going to do today? And so all day I kept on thinking, I got to get that 160 done, and then I'm going to repair this. So even if I wasn't filming this, this isn't staged. Like, I don't just go like, oh, you know, I'm going to rip this mic up because I want to. I'm not doing, this is literally a microphone I got to give back to a local producer that it was blown. So, you know, instead of me sitting alone and doing it, I might as well make something educational, because my feelings are, because of Ulf doing that for me a long time ago. I don't know if one of you cats will watch this, or girls, or ladies, will just say, hey, I think I'm going to try that. There's all kinds of kits you can buy to work on ribbons. And then because I'm a producer in Los Angeles and I have a lot of friends, that is truly how my access has been to getting access to all kinds of crazy microphones. Like my 160s, I always mention I did a few for the drummer for Nine Inch Nails and Danny Elfman, Mr. Rubin on drums. He had some 160s I repaired. He loved them. Then I did Justin Medell Johnson, who's the bass player for Beck and St. Vincent. He's actually a wicked producer of like Paramore. He had some 160s to do. My friend Gus plays in Roger Waters' band. He has some ribbons to do. I've been over to Daniel Lanois' house. I'm making a mic for Daniel Lanois. The singer from Granddaddy, Warpaint, Stella, has some of my mics. So yeah, I've done this thing because I live in LA and I know a lot of people and I produce. I've actually been the perfect storm of having access to older mics, newer mics, and then if you've seen my videos, which I always talk about, and I'll just do a quick pimp. These are, get in there. These are called R144s by MXL. They look just like that. My thing is I have people go on Sweetwater. They buy them for $99. And you contact me first, get my P.O. box, and within the United States, Sweetwater ships the mics free to me. So someone buys it, they buy it, not me. They buy it for 99 bucks, they ship it to me. And then for $250 each mic, I do what you're going to see me do with this one, but I do it in those Chinese mics. I tune them, and basically the ribbon market for amazing microphones are some of the best sounding ones as you start to go from, zero. There's nothing around the 300 range for it, about maybe $600 to $700, maybe $800. You start getting into Royers and you start getting into some used AEAs and used other mics. And then really the optimum for buying a really great sounding ribbon is usually about between $1,100 and $1,400. So what I tell people to do is they go buy those mics. If you look at my description, I'll have it all there. But they go buy these mics for 99 bucks. They contact me first, get my P.O. box. They ship them to me for free from Sweetwater and put in my P.O. box. I get them, and then I basically rebuild them, put the ribbons in them, tune them, check them on my ATCs, get them to sound awesome, and then I get it back to them. So then the argument is like, well, that's still 350 bucks. And someone may say, well, fatheads, why don't you get a fathead? Well, honestly, fatheads are just like those Chinese mics. They have a great transformer. The transformer alone in those probably costs up to 100 bucks. So I know why they're 350. But the rest of the mic is kind of like a Chinese mic, and the ribbons are not made in the same quality that you will get from AEA, Royer, BBC Coles, or even like Steger. So because I'm a freak and I love ribbons, I install these, and I do a lot of them for local producers here that even some people that have money or the people that don't have money. It's the right budget price for about 350 bucks. You get a ribbon that sounds like a $1,200 ribbon mic. So if your introduction to ribbon mics is to buy an MXL not done by me, you'll probably go, oh, this is great. I love ribbons. But once you get a ribbon mic done, you go, oh, that's what's the difference, and that's what you pay for. And also, it's the consistency of AEA. I mean, AEA, the way they make their mics are like this, super high quality. There's a reason they cost a lot of money. And the ribbon department takes them very serious. So yeah, holy smokes, one more drink. Thank you all. Oh boy. Now I have to get myself kind of psyched up for this. If you guys were to see a video of me, I'd be slapping my face like those guys that are getting ready to do something crazy. Like I always do the comparison to Evel Knievel, ready to jump over some Harleys. I should be taking some Jack Daniels like him. Okay, so now that I'm safely removed, well, I haven't done it. I'm telling you, I've safely removed them. I'm already moving ahead. So I already have these. I've already been doing Coles all week, so I've got the right socket. I'm definitely not going to use the full socket set. You don't have to. This is really soft metal, and you don't want to break them, so you just treat them like a baby. Now these screws are long, so they can hold these bolts. So you make a distortion. Oh, look at how fast that was. That thing just took it right out of my hand. Hold on. That magnet is massive. All right, I got it. So that's one screw or bolt. So I'm gonna put that in my safe little safe haven for nuts and bolts. Let's do the next one. And it's just by hand. They're that easy. But you have to remove these back bolts to, I just did it again, to, bolts in there. One. To get access to the front. No, look at that. See what's happening here when you watch me do this? And these are like, you know, and I have razor blades. It's dangerous around ribbons and heavy magnets like this. I've sliced off the top of my thumbs before because I had a razor blade and I was in this position and the magnet just drew the razor blade into the magnet and happened to just clip off the end of my thumb. And yeah, I was pissed, but you only can be, I just did it again. You only can be mad at yourself. And also when you're working, if I'm doing something, see how that just, you know, you can rip the ribbon by just putting the screw and then suddenly this goes, you know, right in there. It's really weird. In the middle, the energy between these two sides are positive and negative. So it's almost pulling this away. So if I put this in the middle, massive magnet. So it's pulling it to either side. If I put it right down the middle, it's going to go one side or the other. It's super, I'm holding this as tight as I can. So if I get into the middle of that, see, I can't even, I'm going to hold this as strong as I can and see if I can hold in the middle. Oh, shit. See, I can't do it. This magnet is massive. And this is probably alnico or earth magnet or whatever they're going to call it. Most new microphones are neodymium. And that's another thing when I didn't know stuff like that. But when I make my own microphone, the first mic I will have will be neodymium. I am going to experiment with some alnicos, but realistically, it's probably going to be neodymium. When I get to some ribbon mics of my next designs, I am going to use some alnicos. And I think that's important. Like Eddie Van Halen's like alnico guitar pickups. It does matter. Let me make sure I got some questions here. Do I tune them? What does that involve? You can, I have equipment to tune microphones and you just basically clip them and you put a sound wave that vibrates the microphone and you could tune it like and watch the ribbon move around in there if it's a larger ribbon. With these ones, I just do it by sight because the ribbon's so thin. If you were to run sound waves into that and watch that thing flutter around, you could rip the ribbon out of it. So there's only really one, my thoughts on these ones, the ribbons are so thin. As I start to put them in there and kind of tweak it, you'll see I want the corrugation to look a certain way, and I will slightly blow on it, and I'll watch it move around. And then actually I check it in my ATCs. If it sounds full body, like check 1, 2, 3, and the mic is just beautiful, it's fine. If it sounds really thin, or it feels like there's not enough low end, then I'll change the ribbon again because then maybe it's too tight or too tense, but it's really difficult to tell. Now, in the factory for these, when they're probably made, I don't know if there's a jig or I don't know if there's something how they will install. I've never seen any footage of how they install them at the factory, but they could easily have a process where, like, you know, they just kind of drop them in and maybe these are already made somewhere and then they drop these in because there is a, I mean, I don't even know how you would do that, but maybe not. But yeah, or there's, like I said, an old lady that just puts them in and she knows how to do it. I pretty much do it on site, how the ribbon looks, how it should look, because I've done enough to know. And then I actually then have to test it. And if I test this ribbon and it doesn't sound what I have a Pro Tools session of a massive amount of microphones. I can go to anywhere through all the eras of Coles and just check them to even past. And I test them with my voice. I'm just like, check 1, 2, 3, checking the Coles. How does it sound? High, low. How low can you go? And really quick, the human voice will tell you if there's no low end or if there is low end. And that's the Manny method. And that's why I'm bound to doing these every one myself. So, okay, so let's flip it over now. We've done that. I'm already like a fucking hour into this, and I thought I would be done in an hour. Like every time I do these, I always think like, oh, I'm gonna get this fucking knocked out in an hour, and I'm just babbling away on a bunch of bullshit. Well, not technically bullshit, but if you're still sticking around, then hopefully it's interesting too. You know what? I am gonna eventually have to get them. I mean, I have, like I said, I have jewelry, hammers. I have these diamond files for filing down. They're actually real diamond dust all over these. So I buy stuff from jewelry stores. In downtown, there is a jewelry mart, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. I can't go downtown because of all the ICE raids. They literally just get you and they throw you in a car and you're fucked. So I have not gone to some, and I've been thinking about that too because there was some, I was looking for a really small socket set. So I was going to look around and I just remembered that the federal building for the ICE is downtown, and I saw near like Broadway and 7th, because I used to go there all the time. There's videos of people just getting grabbed off the street by Border Patrol. And I mean, I know you can't see me. You can tell by my hand. There's my tan line. I'm dark. I'm a Mexican dude. You know, there's no hiding that. I mean, I can order them. Yeah, maybe I'll just probably order them online. I should do that. You know what? Thank you for that comment. I'm actually gonna go online tomorrow and look for a set of non-magnetic screwdrivers. Which, thank you. I have these are non-magnetic, and these are Gundam tools. These are my favorite, man. They're Gundams for making models. But I bought some other sets of these, and I just went back to these. Are so old. I've been using these since the day I got them. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like specific focuses in them. They're bent. If I close them, they're tweaked, but I can't use anything else. My fingers just go. Gotta get those. Gotta get the Gundams. All right, so let's try to knock this out. It's a Friday night. People got to go to bed. I have to go to bed. Jesus, I have to wake up at 6 tomorrow. All right, one more drink. Thank you, B-Bob. There he is. B-Bob's back. I appreciate that. I am going to do that. Don't let me forget that. If you see my screwdrivers slamming into magnets, be like, Manny, what the fuck, dude? I told you. I know I'm a Pellegrino whore, but if you want to help me out, you can buy me in the description. There's a thank you icon that you can hit. You can buy me a cup of coffee. You can send me whatever you want. But the only people that can't, Shannon is a man from San Diego. He's gotten some mics from me, and he's a sweetheart. And who else did it the other day? Two people always get me. I don't know. And weirdly enough, when I do these live, I don't really I'm not sponsored by anyone. I think after about a month, I usually probably get, sometimes from video and people watching it, I can get close to $100. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, and everybody talks about being a YouTube head. For my little amount of time that I love coming in and working on these, when I get that in my bank account, sometimes I don't have any money. So when that $100 come in and it says YouTube, I'm like, holy smokes, we're buying some Pellegrinos, we're getting some butter, I'm getting some espresso coffee, some Don Francisco. I'm fucking stoked. So yeah, little things that you guys do that help me, man. I always feel I'm blessed to, even at the time that money comes in, I'm usually fucking broke. I'm just being honest with you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna take these screws off with my magnetic screwdrivers, son of a bitch. And my little deal is to get my razor blades. Just kind of put it in there. They fly into there because they're magnetic as well. And now they're stuck. So I'm going to move this here, and I'm going to try to work around the camera to get this going. I'm going to move this maybe a little bit to the side. Close. Hey, when is a bit if you Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a lot, but sometimes people have this illusion. Like, if you want to make good content and you're gonna do YouTube, you have to you have to fucking do it from morning till night, 6 days a week. Have enough videos loaded up so every day you can make the algorithm get excited for your content. And it's massive. And the thing is, though, I'm not trying to like. There's guys that are producers that like you see here on the channel, and they're always like, "Well, people always ask me when I'm mixing, I do this." I'm like, "Bull fucking shit, man. No one has to do anything. You're not even you're just like you're dancing around trying to get people to buy the things that you're sponsoring for these companies." I've done things with microphones, and all these microphones I love and I use them. And every time I do these demonstrations, if you look at a lot of the ones I've done, they're really bands that I'm working with. So I'm like, I'm recording bass today. Guess what? I didn't just have a bass guy come down. That's my buddy. And we're going to put some bass mics up. And we're going to have a really controlled atmosphere. And I'm able to control all the... I'm just like, no, I'm throwing to the wolves. Like, put that drummer there. That drummer is breaking my drum heads. He's already hit my mic. He's broke one mic. And I'm like, yeah, let's videotape this. Or let's do a breakdown of getting drum sounds with the real drummer. That kind of shit gets me happy. But that kind of shit only has to happen when I have bands in my studio. I've done some sessions where I brought some of my favorite bands in to try something out, but it's usually real musicians. And when I do drum demos, I can't stand it when the guys get in there and this drummer is like hitting everything. And I always say with his slippers, it's like boom, ka, ticka ticka, boom, ka, boom, boom, shh. Yeah, that's the mic going into the so-and-so compressor. I'm like, what? I've never had a fucking drummer come in and play like that. And if he did, I'd be like, dude, wake up. Come on. Even if you're going to do Prince, or if you're going to do like Neil Young, Crazy Horse, or even if you're a country guy, even if you're like playing with brushes, there's a certain amount that the real guys hit and they play. And that's why I don't have as much content as I do. I know this is fun. I'm doing these ribbon mics, and that's only because I actually have a lot to repair. But in a few days or next week, I may not have anything to repair. So you probably won't see me doing a lot of these. Or maybe I will be. But I do have some stuff coming up that I've gotten some bands' permissions that I could do some breakdowns. And these are real songs. And I tell you what I'm using, what the mics were. You can look at the plugins I'm using. It's kind of like a thing of, I'm just hoping to inspire someone. And the sound I get is definitely my own sound. My friend he's a producer, he did like Elliott Smith's record. Every time I play him stuff I've done, he's like, you know what, you always sound the same. Like, even though I'm at 3 different studios, your shit always sounds the same. It sounds like, he describes it as, it sounds like you just got to cut the vinyl. And when you play it back, it's obviously huge and massive, but it has it. And that's because Steve Albini showed me how to record, honestly. I worked on tape my first 13 years of recording. And I love the way analog sounds. But even though I'm on a computer now, I tend to use Coles and old microphones. And that achieves old drum sets, tuning old drum sets, using old amps, using great musicians. All these things have a lot to do with making things sound rich and full, and as people say, warm. So I'm actually just gonna. So I'm removing these 2 screws, which are the smaller ones. These are the 2 ones that have the bolts on the back. So these are going to be almost twice as large as these ones. So you can't lose them. You can't mess them up. But you definitely don't want to put the large ones back in that one. They need to go back in this one. And you have to remember which way you took out these blocks, because there's a little red line there. That's going this way. And this one may have a little piece of cotton there. If it doesn't, you just have to put them back in the same direction they came in. At least that's my feelings. I don't know if technically there's something different about it, but... Okay, so let's do this one here. Thanks, brother, for listening to my rant. Yeah, some of this is just about working on shit, and then even though I babble about stuff, I may get some stuff off my chest of things that bother me. I just gotta say, man, I feel bad. See, that just fell, got stuck there. And that's why we removed that bottom screen, because I do want to have access to put this in and grab it. I don't want to be taken apart. So these are the shorter ones. I'll put these up on the top over here. And then these are the little blocks. My favorite tweezers. So there's these two little lines. They all have that. Is there something there? Yeah. It looks like there's like a little, some plastic right there. I think that's just another thing to make sure that the screen doesn't touch this, which this is touching the positive side. And what's cool working on these is once you get them and you kind of, they do fumble around a little bit, but when you're doing ribbons, it's nice that at least when you put it in, it's going to be in a certain area. Sometimes when they're open and you have to free ball it, it's fucking nerve-wracking. So this is a shot ribbon. A little bit of it. Let's see, watch it fall. Yeah, I mean, that is just air. Well, this isn't really worthy to go to the graveyard because there's just not enough of it. I usually like to keep them just to look at them as an example. Or if someone asks me, like, hey, Manny, what kind of wood is the Coles? And I mean, if I don't have it, like, this one was already kind of shot. Hold on. I gotta clean that. Hold on. It's in the back side. Some of the foil got into the, in the back. I don't want that floating around or blowing around when I get this mic done. So that little piece right there, I gotta get that out. There. Alright, I gotta get some alcohol on this. So I gotta get a Q-tip. I have to remove those little bits because it could blow around, and you definitely don't want that to get back onto your ribbon especially after I put it in a new one. I just ran out of this alcohol, but I have 99% alcohol. I use 90 because honestly, it gives me a little bit more time to work on the ribbon. It doesn't evaporate so fast. When you put in the more pure alcohol, it just doesn't stay that long. Come out that. What are you doing? Like a little piece of like paper. I mean, I don't care if it just gets grinded in there, but I need to make sure it's, yeah, it's tape. I just need to make sure that it's not gonna come off. Oh, but that's a little bit. Come on. To not worry me. Put this back in there. I'm gonna break this. Oh, it's always like, come on, just go back for daddy right now. There you go. Ooh. I like to see these weigh a lot. Not that I'm like a weakling and I can't lift it, but it is uncomfortable to move around because because it weighs so much. I don't want to pinch any cables. I don't want this to like ruin those little brackets that I expressed that are on the back that are just a nightmare to glue back on. So now I'm going to clean this area. Make sure there's no ribbon material in there. There is some right there. Yeah, what is that? Yep, I got a little bit in there. When I put ribbon in it, even though I just got that full of alcohol, you can't put a ribbon in with that alcohol still there wet, because the ribbon will just stick to it. Like, it's not magnetic, but it's almost like if you have a wet paper towel and you were to put it on a flat surface, like, you'll see it just like jump on it and just soak into it, and you have to pull it off. That's the same thing that happens if I'm really sloppy with the alcohol. But sometimes I put a drop there, and if I put a drop there, and as I'm lifting this one to go here, and any drips off onto that, when I go to lay the ribbon in, the ribbon just goes whoop, and it sticks to the alcohol that by chance, if it's by accident, dripped along the side, or maybe I did that. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes. And these are one of those microphones, when the ribbon blows, you're just like, holy cows, man, because it's such a nightmare to have to cut another one. So I have two, I usually have about 6 I'll cut for this mic. But I'm kind of seeing if I can get it one and done. I've got 2 ribbons that's back up. So if I blow one, I got another one. If I blow that one and it's already late, I may not get to it, but I promise you I'll cut up some more probably in the morning when I'm a little bit sharper, and then I'll redo it again. So I'm hoping that I can get this done one and done. We'll see. So these ones are the forever turning because they're just so big. And like I said, these screws are holding on that plate that is holding one of the thinnest ribbons in the world. I don't know why this thing has these massive brackets, massive screws, but my theory is maybe it's grounding. So when this goes through the unit, and then you're just holding down foil. I mean, it isn't like you're holding down like some Anheuser-Busch horses, those big old, whatever those are fucking called, the giants. You're just holding down a thin ribbon. This goes to the bottom, and then you have to screw this on. One theory I'm thinking is maybe because the way of the design, maybe through sound it moves, and maybe they've just figured out after all the years this bracket will come loose, and so they put the bolts to do it. Or for grounding, this goes into there, it's grounding that ribbon into here, and then when you screw this down into the bottom and this touches that bottom bracket, maybe that connects the ground again on the other side, which makes sense. But I technically don't know why these are built so, it's like a tank, but you're holding like the thinnest gold leaf in there. So it isn't like they need to put all these heavy duty brackets to weigh that ribbon down because it's going to fly out. No, it's like nothing. But it must have to do with grounding. That's the only thing I can think of why they overbuilt it technically. I know personally, if I wanted to make a mic right now in the United States, I couldn't make this mic. That magnet, the way this is welded on, all this work that's done in it is pretty incredible. And I'm sure the factory where these made are still using machines that were made back in the 40s and the 50s. Who knows? Maybe these were made from, when they were making military guns and tanks and weapons in Europe. And in Russia, some of the machines for the Russian Octavas, those are from military spec, factories that were making microphones too. Okay, so I'm going to remove this one. All right, this one doesn't really have any, tells you which way, but I'm just going to put it from my own brain. I'm putting it like the way it came out of the mic. Ay. I gotta clean that ribbon up. Oh, look how thin that is. That is just like nothing. And tells you how fast it can get just damaged. I'm barely touching it. Barely even making an effort to move it, to twist it. So if I install this ribbon and I accidentally go, oh, then you have that. That's what I meant about when I first bought it. It just disintegrated on me. That's exactly what had happened. So yeah, these are a little bit of a nightmare to work with. I get it. But if I'm going to tell you I'm going to make a microphone, I got to talk the talk and walk the walk. Someone's going to say, Manny, you're full of shit. You don't know anything about doing ribbons. I say, well, at this point in my life, I think I've re-ribboned every rare and famous microphone that's out there, and then I've done it multiple times. And I've given it back to people that have the ears to tell me if I didn't do it right. And they would, and they will. You know, if I give this mic back to the cat who this came from and they don't sound good on his piano, he's definitely going to call me. Manny, what the fuck, dude? He won't. It'll be good. So let me once again clean this side a little bit. As of right now, I think that looks good. I see a little bit of magnetic thing with things just hanging in there. That little piece was stuck in there. I think we're okay. Now here comes the part that's nerve-wracking. As I've done this, it's almost like I'm stalling. Like, just fucking get to it, dude. Get the ribbon out and break that shit or install it. Stop fucking around. All right, one more drink. I'm almost out, but I have some in the fridge, so don't worry. I just ran out. Give me 1 second. I gotta get one more bottle because this is gonna be like some crazy shit. Hold it now. So this is actually my recording studio where I'm working at. If you see any of my videos, behind me is my console, or not really a console, it's a mastering desk. It's got some ATCs, some MA5s, some Wally Hyder APIs, some 1073s and all the good stuff, a lot of Audioscape stuff, and yeah, I'm going Topo Chico styles on you. This stuff is like drinking, like you ever drink a Coke and it's so carbonated it hurts? That's what Topo Chico's like. I try my best to cut back on sodas and stuff as I've gotten older. The feeling of drinking Topo Chico is just like when you have that Coke and you pop in, it's like gives you that feeling. Okay. Fuck, man, I'm really gonna do this, huh? Even my wife's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna do a Coles. And she's like, aren't those ones that are really hard? I'm like, yeah, I know. Jeez. Jeez Louise. All right. Is anybody there? Is anybody out there? Is anybody watching this? Let me just apologize to you then, right now then. All right, this is my little stash. It says 0.6 there. I only, because I have a bunch of sheets. You can look, it looks a little bit different than my other foil, but it's just for the sake of when I'm sometimes grabbing foils, I definitely don't want to grab this one because it will rip. Let me just pull this out. God, man, I'm going to have to lay on it. And I try my best to not even move this until I have to really do this, because it gets ruined. So it's kind of like at the last moment, I'm like, okay. All right. Whew. I'm just worried about ruining this one. Oh, fuck. Where's my other one? Oh, I already have one. Never mind. See, I'm already snapping already. I already have one out. For me, I'm going to hide this one back in then. I already removed one out. Let's put it there. And I keep it in that paper because, God forbid, it gets out of there. So anyways, is anybody there? No one said anything. Am I wrong? Future Elk, are you there? Where are you from, man? Everybody tell me where they're from. I mean, some people say, like Paul will tune in. He's from the UK. You got Shannon. Got some Texas peeps. Bebop, where are you from? Anybody? Did I lose my live feed? people are like taking poops and stuff right now, thinking something exciting is gonna happen and nothing does. Okay, put some more alcohol in this. Arizona, dude, do you go to my favorite music store is there? The Chicago, not Music Exchange, but the Chicago store. You know what I'm talking about? I don't even know if it's still there. I used to go over there and buy wicked old stock, like crazy stuff. And if you go into the attic, they would just have boxes of old Strats and Les Pauls and all kinds of stuff. I was buying, my first entrepreneurial job was, not job, but what I used to do was travel around the US. And I used to buy vintage guitar pedals in the early to mid 90s. So that was kind of my thing. And I remember going to Tucson from Yuma. And I went to that store. And I was just like, holy smokes, man. My own band is called Distortionfelix. That was my first band. And it was done, my bass player was a guy named Juan Alderete. He was John Alderete to me, but when he was in the Mars Volta, it was Juan Alderete. Yeah, that was my band. And I remember a heavy subject. My son's mom had left me. And my son was like 2 years old. It was just, I think it was in my early 30s. And I'd gone, because I used to travel around buying vintage gear, I'd gone down to Indio. And then I just remember looking at a map going, where can I go that's just fucking far and not in California? And I remember that music store was in Tucson. So I go, I know what I'll do. I'll go down to Yuma. I'll hit some pawn shops down in Yuma. And then I'll drive to Tucson. And at the time, I wasn't aware, but I was starting to have panic attacks because this is in my 30s. I'm almost 60 now. And I don't do drugs. I don't smoke weed. I just wasn't handling the stress of a lot of things in my life. So it was like 110, 115. I have an old Nissan pickup that has barely enough air conditioning. And I remember leaving Yuma and driving through the desert, and I look at the map, and this is before, you'd have your phone and all that stuff. I literally had paper maps. And when I would arrive in a city, I would rip out the phone book of pawn shops in that city to know what the addresses were, because there wasn't even internet to look up something. And I remember it was the first time I drove across the desert, and in my mind, I make an estimate. I'm like halfway between Yuma and halfway between Tucson. And then I started having a panic attack because I'm thinking like, oh my God. And it was hot. It was like 115. I had the air cranked. I'm in the middle of the desert. And it was fucking crazy. And I remember I turned around and I remember realizing that I was closer to Yuma than Tucson. And I remember I jammed back to Yuma because I was just in a panic of being stuck out. It was stupid. But in my mind, it was a serious moment. And so on my first record, Distortionfelix, there's a song called Yuma. And that song is actually about that moment where I just couldn't handle anything. And I had jammed my car from the middle of the desert of Arizona just to get back to, like, you could say, a home plate. Even though it wasn't my home, it was a big city. Amsterdam, what's going on? Keith, is that Keith? Amsterdam, man. Now that's a city to live in. You're a lucky person, Mr. Bebop. I'm jealous. All right, so what we have here, Keith, if that's Keith. Oh, you mofo. Keith is a crazy good musician. I recorded his band. I've made records with him. One of my favorite cats from LA. I didn't even know you were up here on this stuff. So anyways, we're doing the Coles, Keith. And I'm telling a story about my first Distortionfelix record, a song called Yuma, is written about me driving through the desert and freaking out because it was like 115 outside. My tires are melting. I started to have a panic attack because I had to realize that which city, I was in the middle of the desert, like which city can I get to faster? Even though I just left Yuma, I had a panic, and I remember I drove back to Yuma. And I remember when I pulled into Yuma, I was like, ah, oh, thank God. I was so stupid. Anyways, so I wrote that song called Yuma. So a song came out of it. It's a super sick song. All right. I've cleaned this. Now here's the time of holy fuck. I've got to get this. So at the last possible moment, I'm just nervous. I have to get this out of this paper without shredding it to bit. And then I have to install it in there. So let's do first as first. I just don't want to fucking... It's already coming out of the paper. Hold on. Ah. To kind of release it from the paper, I've got to cut it, which already makes me nervous. Let me just see here. Cows. So if you didn't catch this ribbon that you use for Coles, the ribbon material, is 0.6, but most ribbon mics of the world in microns is 1.8 to 2.5, all the way up to 8 microns. The fact that Coles for years uses 0.6 in these mics, I'm gonna put my hand right here because as I talk, I don't want to blow on that and ruin it. I could do that. All these Coles microphones, when I hear producers that would talk about, oh, fuck that shit, I'll use these Coles where I want to, fuck that, I don't want to be like be a pussy, put it on a fucking Marshall. Like, yeah, I get it. But now that I've seen these being wasted all the time and that ribbon is so thin, I cannot say, unless you're really looking to get these done over and re-ribboned and you can afford it, you really do have to baby these mics. Jack White, I had gone to AEA, and I know Wes Dooley, and for years I've been going there. Matter of fact, I had one of the first prototypes for the R84 at my old studio, and I went to Wes Dooley, and a ammo case had come in, or some kind of shipment had come in with all Coles, and it was Jack White's. And what he does is when he goes to make a record, he probably has about 10 of these or more. And he sings into them, he yells into them, puts them, like, he doesn't give one fuck. And they go on drums, understand, whatever he wants to use them on. But when he's done with the recording, he sends them all to AEA, and then they repair them, and then they send them back to him. It's kind of like getting a fresh pair of shoes or tires on your car. That's the way you have to look at these a little bit. And the ribbons are so thin and so delicate. I'm actually hiding the ribbon. It's not like I'm keeping it like, shh, don't let the ribbon hear this. But if my breath was to blow against that ribbon, it will shred it into 1, 2, 5 pieces, and I'll have to grab another one. I don't want to do that. Okay. And, God, man. And it really sticks to everything. I have to make sure there's nothing here that ribbon will, I mean, it even sticks to the paper. And usually oh fuck, come on. Don't do it. Okay. Ooh. I'm not even being theatrical over this shit. I get so nervous doing this. Yeah, man, I mean, like every city, the gentrification of a city that you lived at matters. Oh, shoot. This is where I get like nervous because this one should have come off pretty easy and it didn't. And I don't want this to catch anywhere. Oh my god, this is nerve-wracking. Oh, shit. I have to get this paper. I can't really even like prep this before the video and like remove this, because if this foil is just sitting around, it's gonna get damaged. I have a little bit of an issue because it's sticking on the very ends, and I've already removed one of the. This is just one of those moments of just like, and I can only tell you that this is so fragile. Like, I can't, usually I would just get my tweezers and be like, fuck it, let's move it. I have to separate the paper. Oh. Can't read it. I'm disintegrating that corner. Son of a gun. It's just got to get away from that paper. Come on. Are you going to... Okay. Did that do it? No. Kind of like rolling over a tamale trying to get the wrapper off it. Oh, fuck. Come on. Really? You're just... Ah. There it goes. Oh, my God. I mean, it's not off yet, but at least it's starting to make a separation here of like, come on, you know, like... But I can't really move it and destroy it. See, that's... Oh, my God. It's like the worst possible way. Hold on. Good on that end, and I don't want to destroy it because I need that. Oh my God, it's caught under it. Hold on. I dropped it. Up, it's fucked. Ah, shit. Hold on. It's not that bad yet. Don't fold. Holy cows. Okay, it's removed from the paper. Now I have to get that in there and make sound with that. So let's just... I usually would put my alcohol right here, but if I tip that over and that goes into that ribbon, it's just gonna go flat and it's useless. And it's really sensitive to when it hits the alcohol, it's all or nothing. So I'm gonna put the alcohol and dab a little bit there. And you can't do it so the alcohol runs down over that lip. Oh fuck, I just talked and jeez. It's just like, I'm gonna whisper. You just saw that shit flop around, almost ruined it. All that shit I'm talking, I don't even get to re-ribbon it because I've talked the ribbon into destruction. I'm putting it more on the edge of this, so I have a little bit of time to work, but not that much. Trip. Don't trip. Oh, fuck, don't trip. Just don't trip. One drop in. Totally good, but it's okay. Fuck. this is scary. Oh, fuck. Okay, danger, Miss Robinson, danger. I just ruined my Q-tip. Let's get another one. Oh, it's crooked. Now when I'm moving this around, even talking is vibrating. I know. Alright. It's better. Holy cows, man. I'm not sure of this part yet, but what I need to do now is lock in that half. I like this side, and then I gotta fuck with this half once I get this side locked in. Holy smokes. Oh my god, dude. I'm not even I like doing that, but it's just, I always forget. Like, I have all this, like, I get my balls, like, yeah, I can fucking do this. And then I get in there, I'm like, fucking shit. And you're doing it live. And if you fuck up, they're like, oh, what's so hard about that? Oh, you're just doing a ribbon? What's that? You ever use a 57? Yeah, I know. Jeez, I wish it was that easy. Okay, so let's not talk loud. I'm going to talk low because right now it's not locked in. And that's going to slip again when that alcohol dries out. And I just don't want it to move with me talking. Okay, give me a second. I gotta have this muscle memory of how I have to install this. Oh. Quick. I'm gonna fuck with the one on the backside. I may ruin it right now. Fucking shit. On the bottom one when I get there. I had to straighten it out. Just really nerve-wracking. And the alcohol's drying as fast as I'm doing this, and then eventually it comes loose and it just goes to fucking hell. Oh, it's stuck to it, son of a bitch. Big screw. Big screw. Bolt. Then we have little screw. Little screw. No one talk. Don't let the ribbon mic know I'm fucking with it. The screws in tight because I still have to put that one in, and I want wiggle room. Buy me a coffee. Hit the thanks under the description. Come on, motherfuckers. I'm just kidding. I'm a coffee whore. There's no magnetism there. Look. Shit. Okay. Then let's tighten the other one. Tight. There's soft metal, but I don't want the ribbon to come out. Walk away for a second. Hold on. Jeez. It's looking better. Thank you, brother, for the absurdist. Actually, where are you from, brother? Or sister? But I think you're maybe a brother. We have Bebop from Amsterdam. We have Keith from Glassell Park, I believe. Giving myself a second, man. I don't want to fuck this up. I mean, I'll do it again if I have to, but you can tell the alcohol is already loosening up, and I need to slightly torque this side a hair in. NorCal, love it. Is I don't want the alcohol to drip into that because it'll get sucked into the middle of that, and the ribbon will be ruined. It's not a beauty contest, but I want it to work. I already know the way the bass response of these happen, and they just gotta be fucking locked in right. Shit. Let's do the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Let's put the last clamp on. Let's see if I can walk away from this one and done, which would be exciting. I don't want to bust out 2 ribbons. And then if I fuck that one up, then I'm going home to go to bed, and then we will rinse and repeat in the morning. Okay, so let's see here. Let's get my ports regular. Okay. As the Three Stooges say, spread out. Oh man. If you see my knees, I'm wearing shorts, don't trip. I'm not all freaky over ribbons. This isn't one of those moments. This is just a weird nerd fucking bullshit. But I like it, don't get me wrong. But if someone's looking for some action pat stuff, maybe they can look up some jujitsu sites, or how do they make rims for a fucking truck? How do they make a tire? Now that's exciting. I would watch that right now. Okay. I don't know why I'm nervous. Don't be nervous. It's not really going in the right fucking shit. I'm gonna go this way. I'm tripping balls. Shit. Fucking screw. Oh shit. Stop talking. Me, I'm talking to myself. Screw. Oh, Batman. Jesus Christ. Oh shit. Well, obviously I can't put it on with that. Next one. Oh my god. Don't move, motherfucker. Let's just do this then. Don't fuck up. scared the hell out of me. Finger from having this rip apart or nice handiwork. Of my heart fucking beating and my studio turning into a fucking hot box because I turned off the air. Holy smokes. Holy cows, Batman. Did we really do that? Maybe. I still gotta do some schnizzles and nizzles here, but to the most part, that looks good. Okay, let's double check these ones. Don't fuck up. Don't drive that screwdriver through the screws. That's tight. She's tight. Let's do these one more time. Make sure they're solid, solid, solid. Okay, scary time. That little piece of foil, I gotta get that shit off that. And if my bracket and my work did not put that ribbon tight and I go to pull that, it's kind of like an open line to that. If I snag it, you'll just watch that just kind of go whoopsie daisy. And it gives me the big middle finger. And it says, yeah, guess what you're doing tomorrow? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see here. Hold on. Did it. Thank you. Thank you, ribbon gods. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Buddha. We'll just cover all the gods. I don't want any foil to make sure it's not hanging over the edge. Even though that's probably grounded and that's grounded and there's a bunch of grounds here, I just don't want it there. Okay, so that's awesome. It looks really good, but I need to now install the screen back. And like I said, this one has the tape there, and some tape here. I don't really like the way this fits inside. Oh my god, I can't even believe I'm gonna do this. I hope I don't fuck this up, but I'm gonna put a little bit of Elmer's glue, which is rubber cement, on that screen when I put it in. It was a little loosey-goosey when I got it, and I just want to make sure that when I put it back on it and slip it in there, that it is going to work. No, please don't get fucked up somehow. Okay. A little dice roach clip. Handy, here it is. Okie dokie. Let's just get this out of the way right now. Fuck. Okay, I've just got rid of all my fucks. I'm empty. Now I gotta get back to my proper wording, like holy cows, Batman, and, you know, my normal alert, Mr. Robinson. Okay, so let's get that off. Let me grab it with my schnizzles and my nizzles. Like the fucking ribbon. Oh, you son of a bitch, come on. Holy my schnizzles and my nizzles. Jesus Christ. Okay, that looks good to me. This whole thing, it's tight. She's tight. Now, sadly, I've got to go to the rear side and now put on the protective screen. Actually, I'm going to do the same thing I did to that one there. So I can install the back bolts. If I don't put this screen on it, there's a chance that the bolts will fly into the ribbon and then ruin all that nice work. I had to cough away. Jesus. I kind of don't like this right here. I like this one has a paper, and that paper is keeping that from making contact. Even though I know there's a little schnizzle manizzle on the other side, I'm gonna make a little piece to guard the ground on this one, because that can actually, if that touches the other side and it's not right, it'll ground out the mic and it won't work. So we're gonna do a little slicing and dicing here, and I'm just, since I've got the glue out anyways, I'm gonna glue that on that. But you have to make sure that it doesn't go beyond this point, because that's the ribbon. So when I put that little paper there, it cannot go deep into the bottom, because that's where the ribbon slams up, and you're gonna cut your schnizzles and manizzles if you do that. Okay. So, because this is just regular masking tape, I don't have any problems with it later coming off or falling into the ribbon. We're gonna do the Manny rubber cement vibe here. Rubber cement comes off really easy with acetone, so even though, like, I would never put permanent glue on some of these, because somewhere down the history of this mic, someone will have to open it, and why make it difficult for them? It doesn't make any sense. Okay. Just a little happy paint, a little happy rubber glue there. Glue. A little happy color blue. Can put a little mountain back there. Maybe that way. This part is going to be going against the ribbon, so I just want to make sure if I'm going to glue that tape on, like that one, it's just all right, so at least that's ready for the bottom half. Now I need to put the screen on the back and the bolts on the back, so I don't want to damage the ribbon at this point. It's a real bummer. It looks good. I like the ribbon. And this way. Forgot something that's really important. Put on the faceplate so I can flip it over and work on the back. Hold it now. A lot. I don't want to stress any of the wiring or grounding, or I don't want anything to break. So at this point, it's just don't fuck it up. So these bolts have to go on the back, but I'll do those after I put on the grill. Fuck, it didn't do it again. Bitch. Hold it now. I do the Manny. Oh man, get away! Don't even look at me right now. Do not even look at me. Don't stare at me. I don't want to fuck you up. Whew. Have nothing fly in the ribbons, ribbon gods. Please, we're almost done here. Too, it's gonna help it stick, but also it keeps it from rounding out the ribbon. Get on the flat part, because that's the part nearest to the ribbon. Don't break, don't fall apart on me. Whew. Okay, we can talk freely now. What's going on? Who's there? Looks like there's 7 people on board. Do we still have Amsterdam, NorCal? Keith, you still around? Keith has a little boy who's turning into a little man, so maybe he's got an agenda tomorrow, some things to do with his buddy. My son is already like 30, has a child. I just can't believe my kid's already like a man. He's a broker. Fucking his first job. He worked in the warehouse of this company that was a shipping company out in El Segundo. And his stepfather, was one of the managers at this company. So he's always hanging around like the senior officials and the senior people at the company. And this old man, my son worked in the warehouse, literally making like whatever the lowest wages. And this old man was like, I don't know, 65 or whatever. He was retiring. And he told my son, go to this website, learn all you can about this test. It's pretty much like trying to pass the bar. If you pass it, your starting pay will be between $65,000 to $80,000 as a broker at the Port of LA. My son took the test. He studied for about 3-4 months. When I remember I dropped him off in Pasadena. There's about 800 people taking this test at one of like the Hiltons, like the convention areas. And my son was only one of 2 people that passed it that year. So the teacher asked my son to come back to his students and talk about how my son studied to pass the test. Even though I talk like a fucking sailor and I talk all fucking... My son is brilliant. His mom was super smart. Maybe he got my creative side. I don't know. But he's pretty darn smart. So anyways, he got this really great job. And then he met his wife on the job. She's Chinese. She just became a U.S. citizen, so our family is a little bit relieved. They had a child. Oh my God. She's a Chinese Mexican baby. Beautiful. And the only thing that's different, she has really big eyes. She has big round eyes. And it's so every first thing people say is like, her eyes are so big. Well, she got the best of both worlds. Adorable like her mom. Her mom is super pretty. My son's a little handsome guy. They're both like 2 little anime people. They look like little cartoon characters. And they got that little baby. And it's just like, oh my God, you guys are so cute. So yeah, Grandpa Manny. That's what I'm now. So one thing that I'll tell you, I put the screen on first because like when those screws you saw them fall off, it's a nightmare. As if now I've done all this work and then I don't have that protective screen, even a screwdriver or a bolt or something to get in there. But what you need to do now is that now that I know that on the other side that those screws are tight, she's tight, I need to put it on the side. Well, let me just kind of by hand do this. That's on that tight. It's really soft. I don't know if these are aluminum or whatever the deal is. They're just really soft. You don't have to crank them. You could break the bolts, and I don't want to break the bolts. Because I'm tightening these on this side, on the counter side of the other side where the screw is, I have to now flip it on its side and just make sure that as I'm tightening these, I haven't loosened the bracket on the other side by tightening these, because that will mean the ribbon will then come loose, and you don't want a loosey-goosey ribbon. Maybe a juicy-loosey ribbon, but not a loosey-goosey ribbon. So I'm going to flip it on its side. I'm going to take it out of this schnizzle. Manizzle. I'll lay it on its side, and then I'm going to put the, I'm going to hold the bracket. I'm going to hold the bolt. And then with the screwdriver, just make sure, without cranking it, that it's just tight and it didn't come loose. It's good. Now I'm going to do this one. Fuck. See what I mean? See what I mean, Jelly Bean? Jeez. Coles. So we're gonna bolt down the backside first, but I need to put this back on it to protect the front. Hello, hello, hello. Is anybody there? There? I mean, it's exciting for me. I'm on the edge of my seat and sweating balls because I turned off the air so there'd be no wind in here. But I don't know how it is to watch doing this. I have no clue. It doesn't feel like it's going to go down right. Get this out of this. Maybe that's why. That looks good. Thank you. Thanks for still sticking around. I don't feel so lonely over here doing this. Come on. Good. Let's put these brackets back on. Shit. These in, you just got to be kind of like doing a snare. You got to just do it little by little. I don't want to break that bracket off the back of the transducer because it's glued. But also you do want to make sure that it's snug. So I'm just kind of like little by little letting it set in. Make sure I'm not just tweaking one side and then it's going to break. I don't want to make it fully tight until I do this side too. I will say this, to my knowledge, in the world of this, no one ever films taking apart a mic. I don't think I've ever seen footage of anyone live doing one, even a videotape of one. So what I do, all these 160s and these rare microphones, I don't think anyone's ever does these. For some reason, the guys that repair, not all of them, because some of them are totally badasses, I don't think they have time in their life to really do this kind of stuff. So I do think some of them are really guarded about everything you're seeing here. If you want to get this mic and take a chance on a $1,300 microphone and fuck it up, if you have enough balls to buy that ribbon and corrugate it and install it and do it for your buds and have it sound good, you have every right to do this. I know everything you see me do here, no one told me how to do it. I had to understand how this mic worked, understand how to work with the foil. And I worked with that foil after already 2 years of cutting other ribbons. So it took me a long time just to handle the ribbon and understand all the scenarios of that ribbon falling, the position of it, ruining it, corrugating it is just a fucking nightmare. And handling it. And then being able to put it in this mic, install it, have the tension look good, and know what you're actually looking for. And knowing, I remember when I saw pictures of Coles before I knew really what I was looking at. When I saw those first shots of because they wouldn't tell you what it was, they would just show a ribbon. And the ribbon looked like a fence. I was like, whoa, that's some weird corrugation. It looks like a fence. Well, I didn't know it, and they didn't point it out that you're not looking at a fence corrugation. You're looking at a Coles ribbon that's ruined because it's bounced off that little screen that you put there and then gets the cross checkered pattern. When you saw when I put it in, let's see if I can do that. Yeah, the line pattern. So when they had pictures of Coles, it didn't look like that. It was just flat, and it was the exact replica of that screen. And that just means it's ruined. So I didn't know, and then I saw healthy Coles. I was like, oh my god, that looks pretty good. And now I knew the gold standard. I have to get that foil, make it look like that, and you saw it. It's like gold leaf, and be able to maneuver it, put it in there, and have it be so it's not flopping around in there, and it's tensioned right. And that's the deal. So me showing you do this, I know for a fact. At least I'm not aware of. Maybe it happened in the last few weeks of the year because I don't really go searching for other dudes. I'm just trying to do this myself. No one shoots videos on doing these mics. So at least if there's anything I get, I'm only either maybe Numbskull that would do it live. And, people want it to be perfect every time, or, oh, he messed up. Like, yeah, man, totally. When you do ribbon mics, you're going to mess up. Even, like I said, I talked to one of the greatest ribbon cutters, and he's a super sick guy, Coles out of Nashville. I actually called him and said, dude, I have to cut like 4 to 6 ribbons every time I do a Coles. Does that happen to you? He's like, totally. I mean, I think I got a little bit of tension. He was doing ribbons years before I got into this world. So when I started doing ribbons, I would watch his channel, and even though he wasn't really showing you what he was doing, I was just figuring shit out, and I'd run it by him. Hey, dude, is this da-da-da-da? He'd go, oh, yeah, that's the way you do it. So I really lucked out that my MacGyver instincts, to the most part, were correct on a lot of this. And some of the stuff that I could never have figured out, I just asked him, hey, dude, I'm doing a 160. This is happening. What do you do? And he's like, do this, do that. And I'd be like, oh, dude, of course. It's right there in front of me. So I can't take full credit for me doing this. Ulf has a lot to do with it. Coles has a lot to do with it. And, there's another guy that I wish I could say he did. He was initially cool when I started, but I don't know if he just got a little jealous. I sent him a microphone and he completely fucking ruined it. It was a real big bummer. He was the greatest, from what I was told, ribbon guy in the U.S., not Coles. And I had a vintage 160 that he's the only guy that had the real ribbons that go in it. So he told me, oh, I'm going to give you a deal. It was like a lot of money. And I gave him a lot of money to make my 160, which was a vintage one like Jimmy Page, have the original. Even though I was making my own ribbons, I wanted to have a mic that I can call like the standard. Like, okay, I know I'm making my ribbons, but this one is an original ribbon mic, and I could use it kind of as my main mic. So I paid a lot of money, almost $400, to have him rebuild or redo my 160 to make it like Jimmy Page and Hendrix, just so I can have one with the real ribbons in it, not ones I made. Even if I think my ribbons are a little bit better, I needed to have something that was like an original. And so I got it back. I put it on my guitar, and I was like, this sounds fucking terrible. I had a bunch of 160s that I'd done, and they weren't even like not even A-B in it. I was just like, it sounded like if you had a speaker, it sounded like someone threw a towel over a speaker of the guitar sound. And my guitar sounds pretty fucking heavy. Oh, sorry. What's else? YouTube. Look up Hoborec. HOBOREC, like recording. Hoborec. And his site's super sick. He does guitar. He's building some guitars. He built a ribbon. He built a robotic arm that's like 400 US, and he can send it to you. And it's basically one of those mechanical things that you could use for your um being in the control room and out in the tracking room. You got a mic on a 57. I mean 57 on an amp, and you can move it down, sideways, and it runs off of XLRs. So you get your 3 XLRs, you go into the robotic arm, they run into your patch bay, and then the 3 out of your patch bay run into the remote control thing, and it's so fucking genius. I gotta take a drink. My studio is just fucking baking. So anyway, I got that mic back. And I told him, I go, look, I'm not interested in ripping this mic apart. I just want a good 160. And so I paid him $350, $400, whatever you want. I didn't care. I said, just fucking give it back to me with the original ribbons. I got it back. It sounded like it was fucking underwater. So then I thought, oh fuck, man, it must have got damaged in shipping, which it could happen. I opened it up, and you just saw me do a 160 when I started. They've never changed. They don't look any different, minus the tape. Maybe being of like medical grade cloth from like the 60s or 70s to now they just use like duct tape. I open it up. Do you remember like in Star Wars those guys that are in the desert with those like dirty cloths, and they're like, what, I forget the name of them, the guys with the swords, and they have the, and they would raid the what are they were like the desert something, that cloth that they had around them that was like filthy and dirty. The top of the ribbon had this cloth taped to the top. I was like, what the fuck is that? That makes no sense. 160s can already take a lot of high sound pressure. Why would you put a piece of cloth? Yeah, the Jawas. Why would you? It's like you cut a piece of a sock or something and put it on the top of it, so you can take sound. I was just like, I don't even know what that is. So I removed that. I look inside, and there's no 160 ribbons in there. There's this other type of foil that he has a ribbon in there. And I was like, oh my God, man, I paid to have the original ribbons. But he's one of the few guys that has old stock ribbons. So then I'm like, fuck, I already feel upset because I told him I wasn't going to open up the mic because I didn't care about, I mean, he is one of the best. I didn't give one fuck about what he could have, you know, spit on the microphone and put it. I don't even care as long as it has original ribbons in it and it sounds like an old 160 because they had Alnico magnets, not neodymium like the new ones. So then I remove the top and I look at this foil, and I'm not even lying. It was like cupcake foil. You know, it's like shiny, it's got a weird metallic feel to it. It was fucking cupcake foil. And I don't know if that was a joke. Like, he knew I was like up and coming. I was talking. I was doing ribbons, and yeah, got a little bit bravado, but I was really excited and really genuine with him. Like, look at dude, I'm not looking to take your job as the buyer guy of the United States. I just am enthusiastic. I built my own ribbons. I want to put them in buyers, but if I am going to re-ribbon a buyer, I would love to have a great example of a true 160 with a good ribbon, and I would just know that that's what the ribbon mics sound like as they're optimized and best. So why not send it to the best guy in the United States, have him put what he said, real ribbons back in it, and I can get my 60s Jimmy Page ribbon mic and be like, fuck yeah, that's a great example of mic. Not even ego aside, you know, me. So, yeah, the Sand People, maybe that's it. So I open it up and I just have to look at it. I'm like, oh my God, man. I pull out those little foils. It's like, and he would tell me initially they had really durable foil. That was his secret. I mean, the guy's cutting cupcake foil, let's be honest. And then he put that cloth on the top. Like, I just don't know. I never talked to him again. I deleted them. I didn't ask for my money back. I was a little bit embarrassed that I actually just trusted this guy, and even though I'm making 160s that maybe even sounded better than what he does, I just wanted an original one, and I have no access to original ones, and I trusted that he had done enough of those to really give me a break. And I just felt like he was just kind of like, hey, guess what? Joke's on you. Here's some cupcake foil. Here's some cloth on the top. Yeah, that's a dark ribbon. No fucking shit, dude. I know what that is. And when I got it, I can't believe I paid $400 for cupcake foil and a piece of cloth. So when I've done these mics for people and I work on them, I remember the feeling of not getting a deal straight. So I'm always sensitive to like making sure everybody's happy, because I don't want to ever be me in a scenario of that which happened to me by one of the greatest ribbon guys in the United States. So I don't send them any more work. Everything I do, I go to Coles. Coles great for anything you need rebuilt parts. What I'm good at is doing what you just saw. Getting something that's fine, it didn't drop, it's not broken, you've blown your ribbons that you love on your pianos. I can get them done. I can do 160s, Buyer 130s, Buyer 500s. I can fix and make Buyer 500s even better. There's a little plexiglass that I found out that even Kohl's removes them and they sound killer. All the RCAs have been 77s, 44s. The only thing I don't do with RCAs is like when they get dropped or you get them and they're just totally fucked up. Kohl's has the actual wooden blocks that they used to hammer you can hammer out all the dents on the grills. Like, oh, this is dented. Kohl's probably has the wooden block that it's shaped like this, so as you start to hammer it, it takes its shape again of this original thing. That's what he does really good. So let's see. Crispy bacon, gay. All right. What is gay? That guy? Yeah. I don't know if he's gay or not. I don't think so. But anyways, yeah, I got screwed on that. Lesson learned. I really trusted that guy, and then I just figured out that, guess what? You know, I'm gonna learn how to do this really great. I'm definitely not gonna screw over someone. And I think it was just him being a dick, man. I really think he was like jealous or somehow wanted to show me up. You know, and maybe he knows I take them apart, so I don't know how he could think that he could screw up my 160 and then not think that I would open it up and look inside and I find cupcake foil and a dirty cloth that was covering the top of the ribbon, which is just fucking ridiculous. There's no one has ever, and he would tell me like, oh yeah, people love the way I make my 160s. I'm like, if that's the way you do your fucking 160s, then I don't even know what your friends are listening to. I fucking learned how to record from Albini. He has perfect examples of 160s. I know what my guitar sounds like with the 160 running into an Ampex fucking tube mic pre into tape. And that's the way my records sound. And I even got one to the left of me, gratefully, an Ampex. And I put my ribbon mics in it. So this is it. It is actually finished. Oh no, it's not done yet. Son of a bitch. Gotta put my little badge back on it. And all I'm gonna say, sometimes this is a son of a bitch to get these back on. My friend Matt Mitchell, he's a sick producer, works with Maynard from Tool, and he's in Pucifer. I want to say he either records Perfect Circle or he's in Perfect Circle. I don't remember. Super sweetheart guy. He had a pair of Coles, and when I went to his studio, he thought maybe they were blown. And I'm one to say like, hey dude, don't just give in to me, and if you're not sure, just get a screwdriver and we'll look in the ribbon and we'll just see if they're fucked up. And I just told you about like what the ribbon should look like if it's healthy, and I showed you examples of what it looks like when it's not. So we sat there and he had a bunch of screwdrivers. We could not get these off. It was so impossible, and eventually we got it. But that's what I mean, like all these screwdrivers and everything I got usually, and that's one of the things too, like where is it? This is a Harbor Freight screwdriver. It's definitely, not non-magnetized. It's I mean, it'll stick to shit. I have some ribbon mics that I can't find a screw that will take off the thing, and for whatever reason, every single time, this one can remove any Phillips from any ribbon mic I've ever worked on. Only this one. So I don't think all screwdrivers are created equal. Oh shit. You saw that. That just flew. That's how I got my finger cut. The magnet just fucking sucked up my finger into the razor blade or vice versa. I know. 2 son of a bitches. Thanks, Paul. Paul's got some treats coming to me and they arrive on Monday, and I'm going to do some videos on what he's sending me, which obviously may be redundant, but I think you're going to see some of the mics I've done in the last few days. But I didn't do them all on YouTube. I did some on my Instagram. And like I said, I was really happy when I got monetized here, because in all honesty, man, it's so fucking cool that you can, every month or so, you get some money put in your bank account from doing these cool videos like this, you know? Speaking of that, since I'm a coffee whore and a Topo Chico whore, if you want to send me a coffee for my work or just saying, hey, you can go in the thanks, it's below the description. Sometimes it doesn't show there, but in a few days it will, but I think it should be there now. But yeah, people buy me coffees. Paul, you can't get me one. You got me one yesterday. Shannon's in the house. Can't do it, Shannon. Same with Mary. Can't do it. There's some people that are really sweet and they do it for me all the time. But yeah, it does help out. After about a month or so, man, sometimes I'll be out of dough and that money will hit my bank account and I'll be like, holy smokes, I've got $100. And I know we were talking about that. Not that it's a lot or less. In this day and age, living in Los Angeles, I appreciate that. So, something here. I just found a little something. All right, nothing. So that is officially one and done. I did one ribbon, one installation. It made it. I'm not out of the woods yet. I'm going to check this tomorrow when I've got some rest. And like all the mics, you saw me do the 160 today. That was a repeat from last night. I was here till almost 2 in the morning. I was exhausted. Somewhere in my installation, it was an error probably in the installation of the ribbon. I didn't like it. So that's one of the things. If I do a ribbon, I have to test it and hear it. If it sounds an inkling not as badass as it should be, I'll just open up the mic, rinse, repeat, put in a new ribbon. No questions asked. I have to do that. That's just, I have that. I don't know if that's like OCD or something. There's no fucking way I'm gonna let a mic go out and just say, well, it was sounded good when I, did it. No, man, it's got to sound great. I know what these have. I have like probably 100 examples on my Pro Tools of, Buyer 160s, all the buyers, all the Coles. I have a Aretha Franklin mic that was a Telefunken that I tested. And that's another thing. If I played acoustic guitar and sang into Aretha Franklin's actual mic. And I remember I was at Analogger and the guy and he says, hey, test this mic, because I used to do that at Analogger. My studio was in the middle of this amazing memorabilia warehouse, and I used to be able to record with the mics that were used on Nirvana, the Lomos. I've used Stevie Wonder's mics, Aretha Franklin. So I did a song, and I didn't have headphones on. He says, can you test the Aretha Franklin mic? So I put it up in front of me, and I grabbed this guitar, and I don't have headphones on like right now, and I go. It'll be too soon. And I did this song that I always do. It's in my own. This is a Distortionfelix song. I don't even know if it came out on the phone, but I don't even know what that sounded like. Probably sounded like shit. But I didn't know what I did on the mic. I just checked it, and then I did the playback on my ATCs, and 2 guys ran in from the other room. And they're like, "What the fuck was that?" I'm like, oh, I'm just checking Aretha Franklin's mic. He's like, holy fucking shit. So we played it again. And we had like 4 Telefunkens there. We had maybe 3 or 4 oh God, what the fuck? 251s. Thank you. Thank you. We had 251s and ELM, whatever they are, those 251 mics and Telefunkins. And he had a bunch of 47s. We had Stevie Wonder's. I think he still owns it. We had Stevie Wonder's 47 that he only used for his harmonicas. That tells you how crazy. He didn't like the way it sounded on his voice. Whenever he played a harmonica, you had to use the harmonica U47. So we went through all the mics to see what it was, and I just did exactly what you heard me do. My voice and my guitar. I'm just singing a song, and he sent the song that I did to a producer that was working with Chris Stapleton in Nashville, and they bought it from me testing it. It was just insane that what a difference a good mic makes. And that's that whole thing about what I was talking about, ribbons and the quality of just a microphone. Man, you get a good mic, whether it's a ribbon, a tube mic, a dynamic, and you put something fun or a cool performance on it, it really makes a difference. So I'm hoping that, I think this guy uses these for pianos. I really do want this thing to sound cool, and I'm going to send it. He'll pick it up and he'll use it for pianos. I've got another Coles that I've got to get back to. I think these guys repair mics. So I have a feeling it's one of those like, yeah, we'll repair that for you. And then they call Manny, repair for us. And I charge them and then they charge them. So that's okay. They paid me what I get paid for doing mics. Coles are $250. And I should charge more because they're fucking difficult to work on. But $250 is what I do on all mics. Even when you get the MXLs, to me, it's about the ribbon, the installation, and even 160s with two ribbons. I initially said I wasn't going to do 160s anymore because it's just the two ribbon installation is so nerve-wracking. But fuck it, man. If I'm going to make my own mic company, just suck it up. It's what I do. I'm going to make ribbon mics. I got to walk the talk, talk the talk, walk the walk. So people say, man, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, dude, I've fixed every fucking ribbon on earth, pretty much. Even if you watch this YouTube and you go, you're going to find some obscure ribbons. And that's what's cool. I mean, yeah, man. It's just like the headphones for me in the beginning of yeah, dude. I mean, dude, headphones. Buyer, I think the 388s. There's those buyer mics that everybody wants. They're fucking headphones. Alien 8, which is now the hippest, coolest kick drums. I got one. They're two speakers from headphones, and they're in figure 8. It's an insane kick drum. Paul McCartney's bass for a lot of records on the Beatles were headphones. If you put a headphone into a DI and you put it in front of a bass rig, you'll be fucking tripping balls. You'll be like, oh shit, that sounds great. All speakers they have a coil and a magnet, and symbolically it's like a microphone. You ever get your guitar pickup and scream into it? You ever get your, if you got a speaker and you plug it into a DI and sing, it'll be dull as fuck, but you will get low end. So I haven't done it in a while, but I'll go to St. Vincent thrift store here and just look for a small, like 4-inch to 6-inch, maybe 8-inch speaker. And you just hook up 2 wires to it, put it to a cable, put it into a DI, and you have a sub. So yeah, headphones are another type of a beast. Sorry about that. Let me put my guitar back. I've not played guitar and sang in about 3 months. So as I started to go, am I really going to sing? I was like, fuck it. What are you guys going to do? Manny fucking sucks. But anyways, yeah, check out my band. In the description, you can hear my band, the Chavez Ravine. And I have a link to my label. I have a label called LA Hall of Records. Distortionfelix is there. A bunch of sick bands that I've worked with and recorded. So as much as you see me doing this and talking a bunch of shit, I'm a producer. I'm an engineer. I'm in a band. I love making music. I'm really creative. I play guitar like a motherfucker. I can shred like Eddie Van Halen, play like Jakey Lee, and still play indie fucking shit like Sonic Youth. I told a story. I auditioned for Ozzy. That's my Ozzy story. When I was in my early 20s, they had a cattle call for a guitar player for Ozzy, and there's a local radio station called KNAC, which is a heavy metal station. I sent in my cassette and a picture. They called me. I went to Meat Studio in North Hollywood. Ozzy was passed out. They have these like little booths, almost like it looks like a gypsy lounge, and he was passed out. But the guys in the band were Phil Soussan on bass and Randy Castillo. And I ran through 2 records. I ran through Bark of the Moon, and I think it was called Unforgettable Sin, something like that. And yeah, I played with the band. I obviously didn't get the gig, and I'm actually somewhat grateful I didn't. I think my friends that have been in heavy metal for a long time, my friends would call them tumbleweeds because their fucking hair looks like a tumbleweed. I don't have any hair. I'm definitely not putting a bandana on or putting a weird or whatever hair I've got on the side of my head. I'm not letting it hang out of the bandana, making it seem like I'm just not into that shit. I look like a fucking cholo. But yeah, so yeah, I played with Ozzy. I did when the Chili Peppers had an audition. I played with Chili Peppers. I know Chad, the drummer, and I not deserving of the rig of getting the gigs. Both of those, even though I play good and whatever, I am better suited for my own band, making my own music, not walking in anybody's footsteps. I have the only person that would be a shadow. I'd be in the shadow of would just. And out of respect would be Steve Albini. He's the guy that showed me how to record. But I'm not a purist like him. You know, I produce, I make changes to band. I'm not like, if you want to hang yourself, you're going to just hang yourself. No, I'll help you maybe not hang yourself, but I mean symbolically of a band that's going down a wrong path and they could do something that could make the recording better. But all right, it is 12:30. I've got to get up at 6 a.m. to take my wife to work. My goal of the day was to get this cold back to action. I did. I'll test it tomorrow. The 160 you saw me come into this one was one I did last night, and then I did another one today. So I'm just been living in the 160 world. And in my description, if you want to go out to, I recommend, is go to Sweetwater. Get my information first from P.O. Box. Go to Sweetwater. You buy the mic for $99. Send it to my P.O. Box. Shipping is free in the U.S. And the work and the detail that I worked on this mic, I'll do that to the $99 mic, and then it starts to sound like a $1,200 mic. It will definitely sound toe-to-toe to an N8, an R84, and it blows away any fathead you can get, only because fathead ribbons are just like the MXL ribbons. There's not a lot of care in them. Same with Golden Age. Those are kind of like Chinese ribbons with maybe a better sounding microphone, the build and the transformers. But Golden Age, that all I've seen, they're always flipped and they're out of phase. So if you send me them, I can fix them, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, thank you all. Let's see right here. Absurdist. I was hoping that one day to do an internship, at least attend master classes. I know, dude. You're in the right hood. My friend went and did that over in France. And that would have been sweet. I was lucky enough, man. I did a record with Albini. He let me fly back a year after that record, about 1997, 98. Maybe it was 99. And I just slept on the couch in Studio A. And for a week, he just showed me how to record. Kind of a fly on the wall, showed me what to do. I took pictures, and the best I could. And it was just ironic that I came back, built my studio, and then about 2 years later, after I started recording, or maybe 3 years later, Kim Deal had come in my studio to try to demo with me. And then when she went back to Chicago to work on a record, it was called Mountain Battles. I ended up working on that whole record and mixing all the songs, including Albini's. It was really nice when Albini told Kim that the tracks that Manny did sound the best, because she was trying to figure out which producer or engineer she would use. Was it the person in Texas? Was it Erica Larson in New York City? And I think there may have been another one in Portland. And Steve, he's honest with her. He just said, I like what Manny did. So Kim came back to me, and I worked for probably a year or 2 years on that record, thanks to Steve's word. And Steve one time told a band, they asked him, do you know any bands that should open for us? And he's like, yeah, I know a band. They called Distortionfelix from LA. So Steve calls me and says, no, Steve sent me an email and he's like, hey man, I just want to let you know, I put in a kind word that I think your band would be a good fit with this band. So I'm like thinking like, oh cool, we're gonna open for them in LA. And I get an email from this band and they're like, hey, Steve told us that you should open for us. I'm like, yeah, cool. What are the dates that you guys are coming in LA? They're like, oh, no, we're not playing in LA. We're doing 2 nights at the Knitting Factory in New York City, and we're going to fly your whole band out there, and you're going to open for us. And I was like, what the fuck? What? And they're like an indie band, like my band, but on his word. And they're not rich. They paid for us to fly out there. And of course, we didn't take advantage. We were as easy not for them to spend as much money as they needed for us, but we went out there and did it. And then in turn, like we opened up for a band called The X. Steve called me. We opened up for Shellac. A few years earlier, we had opened up for Fugazi in Los Angeles. So The X is out of Holland. They're a European band, and they're like the Fugazi of Europe. So it's crazy to open up for the Fugazi of Europe. We opened up for Fugazi, played with the Trail of Dead. Then our last show with Distortionfelix was we flew to England and opened up for Gang of Four, The Breeders, Shellac, Mount Banana, Battles, The Bronx, El Mariachi Bronx, X. It was just incredible. So as an artist, man, I got nothing, my memories are just fond shows that my band got to open for Blonde Redhead, Trail of Dead, the Locusts, which were Gabe Serbian, God rest his soul. He had passed away, and I loved Gabe. I did a record with him and his band Retox that's on Epicat, and I was just honored that I got to make a record with him before I passed. So, yeah, man. You and Greg now carry that. I know, man. Greg's. I have one of Greg's preamps right behind me. One of the electrical audio preamps. I'm trying to get the dough together to buy it. If I don't get it together, I'm gonna have to send it back to him. But he's been kind enough to let me have it. I've been using it for about 3 months on every record. It's fucking incredible. It's like the rack unit that he had. And yeah, I'm trying to work on that. If you guys want to buy my coffee, I'll get close to buying it. No, he's giving me a fair rate on it, but that is something that I want. I want a Bill Skibby Flickinger one. Bill Skibby, who does all the Flickingers and now works for Jack White, mastering and stuff. Bill Skibby was the engineer when I went with Albini in 1998. So to see Bill Skibby's path to do the Red Stripes and the Flickingers, and now he lives in Nashville. I think he has a studio. Bill Skibby's a badass. So Greg Norman, Bill Skibby, Steve Albini. We would master with Bob Weston in Chicago. Todd is fucking incredible. So yeah, man, I got nothing but love from those Chicago and my friends. And my first label were the guys from Girls Against Boys, and we were signed out of New York City. If you don't know who they are, I'm not. All these names I tell you, they're not meant to like tell you like, oh, these are cool and whatever. But hey, man, you have a good night. Thank you. I'm gonna be checking out. That's a good note to check out on. Thank you, The Absurdist. Safe travels to everyone. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I'm out.